welcome to the show. Seminoles Sideline 365. I love this song. D-A-S-T-A-T-E. Florida State, Florida State, Florida State. You got to love that song. Got to love that song, fans. When's the last time you've been at a Florida State game, stadium packed full of fans? Okay, we got a few opponent fans there in the end zone and, down in the corners. But if you have not been to a sold-out Florida State Doak Campbell Stadium with Miami, Florida, Clemson, somebody of that caliber, both teams ranked in the top 10, and that song pounding and the chant, that's what we're waiting for. That's what we're trying to get back to. Welcome to Seminoles Sideline 365. You've got Bruce here, and unfortunately, my sidekick, KB, is missing in action, okay? Not quite sure what happened to KB, but he says he's got something very important going on tonight. And so guess what? You got me. You got me. All right. So what we're going to do tonight is, first of all, because KB's missing in action, and I don't know where the hell he is, I'm going to salute to the fans out there. And guess what I got? I got my Papa's Pilar Ernest Hemingway rum. So salute to the Seminole fans, our viewers, new subscribers. Please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that thumbs up for us, and come on back and join us. Leave us your questions and comments. This Pilar is very good. Let me show you this before we get started here. All right, here it is. Here it is. If I can get it here on the camera. Where the hell is the camera? Okay, Pilar Hemingway. There it is. Papa's Pilar. It's very, very smooth and very, very good. Dark rum. Give it a try. Give it a try. It's very, very good. Plus, I got some water here. I got some hydration. So that's all good. Well, before we get started with Florida State news, big news in the sporting world. Just announced. In fact, I saw it on the Golf Channel. I'm watching the Players Championship at Sawgrass. If you've never been to this course, you should just go up there and look at it. It's amazing. That 17th hole, how many guys have put it in the water? But they announced just shortly ago, the band is back together. Big Tom Brady says, no, I made the wrong decision. I'm coming back for another season with the Tampa Bay Bucks. I wonder what persuaded him. He said, it was time to go. I had to spend more time with my kids and family and wife. I wonder if his agent had anything to do with that, with the Bucks. I'm sure that'll come out. Did he get a portion of the team? Did he get part ownership? Did he get a huge bonus? Something happened. So we'll let that speculation play out. But it looks like Tom Brady's coming back. That means Gronk's coming back. That means they're probably going to sign a lot of the guys they had, add a few pieces, and make another run to the playoffs. They're definitely a playoff team. Whether they can make it all the way is another question. So, always, here's one fan coming in now. Let's see. We got Jody Potter. Jody, thanks for listening tonight. It's always about money. Well, generally, that's right. It's always generally about the money. So we'll see. It'll all come out. But we're not going to be talking about that. This is the Bucks network. This is the Florida State network. So, again, what we're going to be talking about tonight, we're going to be talking about the defensive backs, the defensive backfield, and, how that stands up going into spring ball and maybe coming out of spring ball. But the first thing I want to do to highlight the defensive backs is to really read from a little article. Now, let's see who wrote this article. This was written for by a guy named Jacob Bunting in August 2021 for ACC football. And it says the defensive back position at Florida State, this was going into last year, remember, not this year, but the 2021 season. The defensive back position at Florida State can be described as one big question mark. That's the lead sentence of that article. This unit is one of the most unproven groups on the team, but perhaps has the most potential on the team. That's very interesting because that's exactly what played out. So he was right on. He was right on. Now, the big question going into this spring and into the 2022 season for the Noles defensive backs is how much experience have they gotten and how much have they retained, and how will that be for the team in the 2022 season? Now, they got a lot of experience because they were a young backfield. They learned a lot of lessons, i.e. the Jacksonville State game. We learned a lot of lessons, perhaps in defensive coaching as well as player assignments. So we learned a lot. But coming into this season, the defensive backfield has one of the most crowded rooms at Florida State. I mean, I think they almost had to expand the room. You know how many guys are in there? We got, by my count, and I'm open to be questioned. If you know more than I do on this, let me know. Send me a comment. That's okay. 16. There's 16 defensive backs in this room. Now, that includes defensive backs. That includes safeties, and corners. Safeties and corners, okay? And we'll talk about these guys here in the next few minutes and go over some of them you're going to know, some of them you're going to recognize, some of them you're not. I mean, this is from the fans' perspective. Some of the names you're going to say, oh, I never even heard of this guy. Well, even if you watched the team last year, there were so many people in and out of the lineup, in and out of special packages. Unless they did something significant, you may not even know who they are. Okay, so first of all, the defensive backfield is loaded with returning youth, young players, but they have more experience than ever. Almost all of them have played in several games, and many of them have been starters in a number of games. 9 of these defensive backs have started 2 or more games, either at Florida State or at another university before they entered the portal and came to Florida State. 10 defensive backs have played in 6 or more games. So they have on the field experience. Because remember, you can only play 4 to 5 defensive backs at a time. It's rare you're going to have 6 in the game. So you usually have 4 in the game. You may have 5 in the game, 1 at the nickel. We have a portal transfer in Greedy Vance. I love that name, Greedy. Hope he gets greedy in ball hawking. 9 games. He started 9 games at Louisville before he went into the portal and came to Florida State. Now, why he left Louisville, I really don't know. If someone out there knows why he left Louisville, let me know. Apparently, he wants more visibility and he wants to be a starter. I don't know if he started 9 games there. Okay. So he wants to make a bigger impact. And to that room, to that experienced room, we've added a couple of freshmen. One is highly recruited 5-star Sam McCall. Sam McCall, who can play a little bit of offense too, but he's slated to play a lot more defense. And Azara Thomas, AZ Thomas. He's going to be a superstar, according to what we see so far. So the 2 freshmen, McCall and Thomas, doing very well. What has set this up is now we have 16 guys competing for 4 or 5 starting positions. Let's say we may go 8 deep, maybe 9 deep. Everybody's competing for those top 8 or 9 positions to get on the field. And that's very important. The experience brings a team that can play faster, can execute the plays better that the coaches are calling in for them. And most importantly, will be the communication. Can they communicate with each other when an offense lines up and starts throwing some formations at them that they're not used to? One of the toughest formations where defensive backs usually have problems with is when you put trips to one side or the other. Now, what do I mean by trips? Trips are 3 receivers stacked up on one side or the other. Then people have to start making decisions as they come out of that grouping, who takes who in man-to-man coverage. If somebody miscommunicates, somebody's running free, and generally you have a large play or a touchdown. And that happened to our defensive backs last year. So the communication will be very important. And, you know, one of the things that I'm hearing about spring practice, and I think this is important to point out, is communication. How will these guys understand the playbook? Coaches, if you're out there listening to this program, and I hope you are, please keep the play calling and the formations that you have as simple as possible so these guys can retain. If they can't execute the simple plans you're asking to, don't put anything else on, because it's just going to result in disaster. That's what it's going to result in. You're taking away the athlete's ability to perform if they don't understand where to line up and what their responsibilities are. You're not helping them. So you really got to make sure they're comprehending this and moving forward. Now, we're looking for the next great DB. Florida State used to be called DB University, Defensive Back University, because so many guys were going into the league in the first round, no later than the second round, from Florida State. We were known for that. You know, going back to the early 70s and even late 60s, I was at Florida State from 70 to 74, and I saw a lot of players come through there. But some of the best players that I remember, one guy in particular, one of the best defensive backs we ever had, and he had a great career with the Pittsburgh Steelers, where he won a couple of championships, was J.T. Thomas. If you don't know who J.T. Thomas is, look him up, J.T. Thomas. But the ones you may remember, of course, Deion Sanders. We're talking about Jalen Ramsey. And more recently, we're talking about Derwin James. These guys were the significant players in that backfield that brought that name to Florida State, DB University. Who will be our next star? Who's going to be the next Derwin James for us? That's who we're looking for. I can't honestly tell you that I see that person in the room right now. I don't see that person in the room right now. But a guy anywhere close to that, and it's a remote close, okay? He's not in this field of names, is Jamie Robinson. Okay, Jamie Robinson is most likely going to be a corner, all right? But let me say this. it's really hard to tell where anybody's going to line up anymore. According to the sources that I'm researching and looking at, it's really difficult to know that what you played last season may not be the same position you played this season in the defensive backfield. But Coach Woodson is going to make that call, obviously, with Adam Fuller and Randy Shannon. They're all going to be coordinating on this. But ultimately, Adam Fuller, Marcus Woodson, and Coach Mike are going to make the final decisions on packages these guys play in based on what they see spring ball and fall practice, and depending on injuries. We got Jamie Robinson. He is probably the leader of this group right now. He's got to be the leader of the group based on his experience and his past play. That stuff's really good. Kevin Knowles the second. He really established himself last year as a very young player, and you can expect to see him on the field a lot. He needs to take the next step and start to become the star he has the potential to be. A guy that's going to make a difference for this defensive backfield is Greedy Vance, the transfer. He's likely to start at corner. This guy already in practice, according to coaches, has shown flashes. He's picked off a couple of balls. He's broken up a couple of plays. And this is just early. It means nothing. But he has a lot of experience and he has confidence. And he's ready to put on film what he needs to do to get to the next level. Greedy Vance. Remember that name. Akeem Dent showed star status last year, playing safety position. But Akeem's a little bit small for that safety position in my opinion. I mean, he's not a big guy, but he's not that big hitter like Derwin James was. You know, Derwin James would knock your lights out. I don't see a big hitter yet in this room. Ronaldo Green is coming back from an injury. You know, he hasn't had a lot of experience in his years here at Florida State. He'll be a role player in and out of the lineup, but he certainly has the talent if he comes back fully from the injury. Brendan Gant. Brendan Gant his name's being thrown around between a linebacker and potentially playing some safety. He's not going to play corner, but he may be that guy that could ring somebody's bell out there. He has the size to do that. The question is, does he have the speed and the quickness to cover and help those corners to take the right angles and the speed to get over there? Brendan Gant. Some names that that you might not even heard of before: Sidney Williams, Jaquez McCleon. You know, he is a redshirt senior, has lots of experience, but he really hasn't been on the field a lot. Sidney Williams, not a lot of playing time. And then we get into Shaheem Brown, hasn't had a lot of playing time. Travis J. We saw a lot of him and had real good potential. But then he started to have a slump and he was having some problems and teams started to pick on him. The question is whether or not he's going to improve enough to increase his playing time in the coming season. You've got Omarion Cooper. Now, Cooper took a step, just like Kevin Knowles did. Young player who really started to establish himself as one of those outside corners. I expect you'll see him on the field quite a bit as well. And then you've got a couple of guys. You've got Hunter Washington, not a name that you heard of, not a lot of on the field playing time. So we'll wait and see what he brings to the table. You've got Damari Tate, who has good potential to see a lot of playing time. And then you've got two guys, Jarian Jones. Now, Jarian Jones, I think, will be on the field a lot. I'm not sure what position he'll be at, but I think he'll see a lot of field time. And then you've got the guy we talked about in our last episode, and that's Jarvis Brownlee. Now, that story about Jarvis Brownlee that was out on social media, he's not at practice because of the NIL. As far as I can tell from the research I've done since that episode, that's just all nonsense. There's no substance to it. We suspected there wasn't any substance to it. I reached out to some people. I reached out to the guy who broke the story, who was fueling the rumor. And of course, he never answered back. That's never a good sign. I also reached out to Jarvis, did not hear back from him. That could be because of team policy or rules. I understand that. No problem, no worries. But that story looks like it's died out there, and he probably did the right thing, but not even generating any answers to it, because he's been seen in practice and practicing a lot. So he's definitely at practice. There's no smoke in this fire whatsoever. That's the room. We got 16 players in that room. I think I mentioned everybody. I don't think I missed anybody in this group. Now, who the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys are going to be seeing the field a lot, I'm going to guess will be the following. It'll be Jamie Robinson. It'll be Knowles. It'll be Vance. It'll be Dent. It'll be Cooper. I think Sam McCall is going to get in there in a mix. He may be the nickel guy. I think Thomas and McCall could be the nickel guys. They don't have a lot of experience. We're going to have to get them in game experience against some the weaker teams that we play, or if and when we get huge leads, to get them in the ball game. I think Jarvis Brownlee is going to be on the field a lot. Jones will be on the field. And those would be my top 6 or 7 guys, maybe 8 guys to expect to see on the field a lot. Injuries are going to play a part. And when those injuries start to mount up, more guys are going to be on the field. But, I think that last year we had big question marks coming in. I think this is going to be one of the strengths of the team this year. I think it's going to be a strength of the team. I think Jamie Robinson is the best of the group, and he needs to lead. He needs to communicate. He needs to tell guys where they need to be, because some of these guys are not going to be in the right assignments, especially the younger players, and he needs to be that leader. He needs to be that leader. Cooper could be a star on the outside. Cooper could definitely be a star on the outside. Akeem Dent, he needs to be challenged to get better. He has the potential to get better, but he needs to get better. He needs to grow in confidence. Communication is going to be the key. And I think the depth and the competition we have in the room is going to make the overall group better. I expect, though, that some of these guys are going to end up in the portal at the end of spring, unless the coaches do something very creative. Because some of these guys are going to say, I'm not going to sit the bench. I want to go play someplace. Now, the question is, it will usually come from a more experienced guy, because that has a lot of tape, so other teams can look at what he's put on tape and what he's done statistically. So it usually will be one of those guys that have the numbers to make him worthy to go to the portal. I think the underdog here, the guy to kind of keep an eye on, is Shaheem Brown. This guy has a lot of upside potential, has not shown it yet, but I think the coaches are ready for him to take the next step. That's really what I see out of this defensive back group. So I think it's going to be a strength, but we do have a number of question marks, and we must stay healthy. if the room stays healthy, they're going to add a lot to the defensive statistics of this team in getting better. The biggest problem is they're going to really have to do a good job back there because we may not have the same pass rush that we had in 2021 because two of those guys are now gone. Johnson and Keir Thomas are both gone on to greener pastures. We've got to hope that our edge rushers and the middle of that line can put pressure on the quarterback. If not, it gets real tough chasing these wide receivers around the field all day, and you're going to give up some plays. So that's going to be the key, is that defensive line and those rush edgers, because we don't want to have to blitz a lot. We don't want to have to blitz a lot. But if we're not getting the rush, then we're definitely going to have to do some blitzing in that regard. So that's pretty much what I've got on the defensive backs. We're always open to your comments, open to your questions, open to your criticisms, whatever you want. Let us know. I think it's going to be an exciting season, and this will be one of our strengths for sure. Now, remember, the spring games coming up, scheduled for March 5th. The latest I saw, March 5th at 5 p.m. in the afternoon. They've got a concert following, which is included in your ticket. They're going to have a Friday night block party down, at Madison Social. If you've never been to one of those, that's a great experience. Get down there on a Friday night, hang out. It's really a fun time. So I think there's some good things coming up. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase. I misread my note. The spring game is April the 9th, not March the 5th. Spring ball started March the 5th. April the 9th. I guess the Pilar is kicking in. April 9th. And I hope to be there. And if I am there, you see me there, come up to me and say, I love your show. So for me, hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and we'll see you at our next episode. Look for us. And KB, wherever the hell you are, this one's for you, buddy. Take care. We'll see you. Y'all be safe. And we'll see you on the next episode of Seminole Sidelines 365. This is Bruce out. Have a nice, safe work week.